more, lots more.
Folks, what is up? You might be having that first espresso martini wherever you're at, but we are ready to wake up with some bad blood. And we are not talking about the Taylor Swift version, because you know this is the show where it's not wrestling with your budget. It's not wrestling with your conscience. It is wrestling with emotion. And with all due respect to the Miami Heat of 2011, we got the big three in the house. We got Slick Al on Slick Saturday. We got the head of the table, Michael J. Partham. Of course, this episode brought to you by Batavia Downs, the region's premier entertainment destination. Make Batavia Downs your next stop when you're looking to celebrate, when you're looking to recuperate, when you're looking for any 8. Let's go and let's get in. With that said, we are having bad blood, gentlemen. Ready to get into the picks.
Yes. What? Why not?
Should be a relatively short show without the false prophet Rob Ryan here pushing all the buttons like he's a kid in an elevator. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jesus Christ. We got to do something about that. Intern got to get on it lately. Also could be a short card.
Yeah, seriously. It could be a short card, but it's like, you ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
It doesn't matter if you're ready, because it's time
that
for
was
some
so
train wreck.
weak.
Batavia Downs.
More, lots more.
That was so
That was
weak.
pretty late there.
So weak.
20 years ago on this date, October 5th, 2024, this wrestler debuted on SmackDown and defeated John Cena to win the U.S. Championship. Who was it?
20 years ago. 2004, you mean?
2004. Yeah, well, that is the same thing.
Debuted in 2004. Won the U.S. title. Wow. Beat him the same night that he debuted for the U.S. title. Wow.
Yeah, what?
That's
Is it
amazing.
Is it an NXT guy?
Nope.
No,
NXT wasn't even a
around then.
thing then.
No.
Oh yeah, 2004. My bad.
It's all good.
Well, I know.
Shout out
Randy-
Abby Wetzler. Shout out Herbal in the chat. Shout out T-Beer and Thurn. Let's go. Jay Johnson. We got bad blood talk here on Trainwreck Sports, brought to you by Batavia Downs. I'll give you a hint and let's see who gets it first. Let's just say this was a pretty cool debut.
Carlito.
Carlito?
Carlito,
Yeah, no,
indeed, debuted 20 years ago today. We'll pull him in here with all my favorites,
I
but
remember that.
we can't air the segment, but debuted on a SmackDown to win the championship. And that wasn't, and now John Cena was putting people over not too long later. Shows what his star power John Cena had. But speaking of star power, there is no shortage in the ATL. We got Metro booming. We got Cody Rhodes. We got the full bloodline. We got the new bloodline. We got the OTC. Could we potentially have some final boss in ATL? Well, time will tell, but let's get into it, gents, with our predictions for tonight's bad blood card. With that said, this is our first one that we're pulling up, and we'll give the honors to the head of the table. We got singles match for the WWE Women's Champion. The theme of tonight is a redemption shot, and for tonight, it's Bayley to get her championship back from Nia Jax. Parthy, does she get it done?
Does Bayley get it done or does Nia get it done? What do you mean?
Bayley. Yeah, well, I let it.
Bayley had her run. Bayley's a good challenger, but Nia's going to retain the title for the moment. Not sure what will happen after that. Not sure what will happen after this for Nia, even if she walks out of bad blood with the title, because who else is there left to challenge her? Maybe Naomi, but Naomi's not that much more of a credible challenger than Nia. So either way, whatever happens in the immediacy afterward, Nia's going to retain.
My only confusion is, what do they do with Bayley after this? And same with Nia. I mean, people are predicting Tiffany Cashin for tonight. Some of our panel who aren't on the show right now should preface with that. But I don't even I think it's too early to even do that. I don't think they've even had enough time with the Tiffany Nia storyline backstage. They've had a couple segments and they're not really meaningful. I mean, the chokehold on Tiffany was pretty funny. But I don't know. This one's a toss-up for me, so I'm just going to go with the grain, which is probably the betting favorite as well, Nia Jax.
Mute monster. Maniac the Silent.
Not the mute monster, but I'm shouting out Jay Santoro on Instagram saying Nia wins but loses on the cash-in. Yeah, I think I agree with you guys, though. I think Nia wins, and I think it's a little too early for the cash in. Let Tiffy cook. Let Nia pick up some momentum here. The only reason I think you don't go with a cash in or you would go with a cash in tonight is if you don't like the direction it's going and you're looking to just ultimately kind of, pull out of this very quickly. If you don't like the creative and you want to get out of it before Survivor Series for any War Games implications. But we're all on Nia. What do you got? Sorry.
I mean, did Mia Yim or Michin, whatever we're calling her, did she challenge for Nia for the belt yet? Because she picked up a big win on the dumpster match. She could be in line for a title shot.
Gotta love a good dumpster match. We're seeing dumpsters. Hell in a Cell's back. And real quick, talking about Hell in a Cell being back before we get to our next match. By the way, Nia sweep across the board. McAdoo, Ali, Sweatpants Joe, probably everyone else as well. So Nia, the prediction there. With Hell in a Cell being back before we get to that match itself, we'll talk about it in a couple. But feels like really important again. So shout out to the new era of WWE with it not being a yearly pay-per-view just thrown in there so they can have, 12 in a year. It feels like Hell in a Cell could have huge implications. That's what I'm saying.
And the cell isn't red.
Right. I was going to say.
Well, I didn't hate that. I actually didn't mind that when it came new, but then it was kind of silly because I think it was the booking of the red cell that was worse than the red cell.
Yeah, you associate it with the Vince
Yeah.
booking and
the
Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins finishes and none.
Parthy, if Josh Allen was lighting it up in the Drew Bledsoe era Bills jerseys, I think we'd look at those differently, right?
Perhaps. But I mean, I remember the Broncos winning their first Super Bowl in those like Navy jerseys, and people still to this day said those were terrible jerseys. I thought I liked them, but
I like those.
Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of thinking you like someone, that was the case with Damian Priest going into SummerSlam when all of a sudden Finn Balor tries to do the dipsy doodle, and that was great booking. That was cinema. Damian Priest almost surviving against Gunther was absolute, chef's kiss. With that said, these two are going to finally settle. It feels like, they've had little skirmishes here and there, but they obviously haven't been able to have their big payoff, which I think we're going to see tonight in the form of this match. I will say our panel that hasn't checked in live is split. We have Rob Ryan and Sweatpants Joe on Priest and Ali and McAdoo on Finn. I think ultimately Finn is going to win this match. I'm looking at the logistics of just you built up Damian, and he's kind of a star already now, and he can kind of afford this loss and look good doing it. Case in point, Backlash against Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico when he lost that match, but it was a 5-star match by WWE standards. I got Finn Balor winning this match tonight. What do you got, Slick?
Yeah, I'm tempted to lean in agreement with you. Damian Priest fresh off the title though, that like him and Rhea have been hot. It hasn't slowed down since either of them have lost their titles and both of them got turned on. So I think you're right in the fact that he can't afford a loss and still really look good doing it because he's come to his own these past few years. I think Damian Priest has earned his spot as like one of the top stars in WWE right now. And when you're standing alongside Rhea Ripley, I mean, that helps all the more. So I agree with you. I'm going to go with Finn, and I think JD McDonough might play a role in how that turns out. What do you got, Partham?
For a guy who just lost the World Heavyweight title, you want to keep him strong. You want to keep him a main eventer. And this feud doesn't quite have the embers that Liv and Rhea does. And we'll get to that one match in a second. I think you got to put the bow on this one. I don't see this going past a single cumulative what's the word for it? A culmination match, one single culmination match. And sure, the rest of the Judgment Day is going to try to get involved, but we've seen on his own Damian being able to fend off all these goons like JD McNuggets and Carlito, the aforementioned former U.S. champion. Yeah, I think you got to give one of the Terror Twins a win on this night, which is a little bit of a spoiler for where I might be going for another match we're going to be predicting. But yeah, I think Damian's got to look strong in this one, so I'm going with Damian.
Fair enough.
All right, very interesting. So we are truly split there. We got 4 on Finn and 3 on Priest. Very interesting there. All right, Slick, you ready to move on to this next match? Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley?
Just cue the train wreck trivia, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying. Singles match for the Women's
There's a
World
fake out.
Championship.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan with Dirty Dom
definitely
Mysterio.
were ready.
So this is big. This is big. What are you talking about? I had the clip right up. My mouse was clearly.
You were gonna doesn't matter.
Parthy. How quick was that click? You have to be the impartial judge right now.
It took a second or two.
Oh, no chance.
Maybe it's a delay. I don't
Victor.
know.
With that said, singles match
Parthy.
for the Women's World Championship. Liv Morgan, who's obviously, chicken shit heel kind of in this scenario, given the fact that Rhea Ripley is basically the reincarnation of a modern day China to me, as far as being a powerhouse in the women's division. R.I.P. China, obviously. Love you. With that said, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. With that, who's gonna get the last word on what will likely be the final bout in this feud? Parthy, what do you got?
I think Dominic in a cage is a bit of a misleading. It's a bit of a distraction, figuratively speaking. It's a bit of a red herring in saying that, oh, Dom's not going to be able to interfere. He might try to. He might try to escape the cage. He might have some kind of, device in his pocket that he can drop down for Liv. But I don't know where it might be a returning Raquel Rodriguez who has history with everybody involved. Maybe they bring her back. They put her in
out of
a
left
direction.
field. Oh my
I don't
God.
know, but I think this is too obvious for Rhea to win it. I think Liv's going to retain. Rhea's not going to get her revenge quite yet on Liv.
I was talking to Maniac about this earlier. I love Shark Tank matches where there's just people suspended in a shark cage, and that's the only stipulation, which isn't really even a stipulation. And Dom in one of those cages is like the perfect guy. So really looking forward to this one. I agree, Partham. I think there's going to be some way that Dom finds his way out of this cage, but I don't think it's going to end up working to his favor to help his new girl, Liv Morgan, retain her title, because I think Rhea Ripley is going to win it back.
Now you're going with the home country girl. Good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going with my heart in this one. I just can't. I know that I think Liv and this whole angle has enough on its own where they can go for another 6 to 12 months easily with Liv and Dom. So I'm not really too worried about it. And I think WWE kind of really loves Rhea Ripley, given the fact that when she debuted, she got a WrestleMania match against Asuka on the main roster. And in case what, 2 multiple, Royal Rumbles where she eliminated 7 competitors, the women's record. So WWE loves Rhea Ripley. I think they want the title back on her as soon as possible. It was a great SummerSlam moment for sure, but it's Rhea Ripley and it's the title she never lost. Parthy, you were on Rhea?
No,
I'm on Liv.
No, you're on Liv. Okay, I just want to make sure. But we are.
Who are you on, Maniac?
I'm on Rhea. I'm on Rhea for the record,
Okay.
and then we have Rob Ryan and Rob Ryan and Ali on Liv, and
Rob
Sweatpants
wishes
Joe.
he was on Liv.
Yeah, Rob wish he was on Liv. With that said, so we're about halfway through the card. So now the question becomes, which one should we go to next?
I don't think Hell in a Cell is actually going to main event from all the reports, so let's go to that one.
Yeah, I don't think it should.
I mean, it
right.
really should have, but you got Roman Reigns returning for his first match, like a Mega Powers team up, and possible big angle at the end of that. You could see why they.
Dude, the main event is past Punk's bedtime.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's bring up the one. Slick, you ready for this next one?
Yeah.
Batavia down is more, lots more.
Cue the Batavia
It's
down.
time for train wreck trivia. Bad Blood was last 20 years ago today, or 20 years ago, 2004, the last edition of Bad Blood. With that said, what was the main event?
Whew. Yeah, there were 2 Bad Bloods back to back, 2003, 2004.
Yep, there were a couple editions. It was the early 2000s one for sure.
Was Undertaker in it?
He was not in it. The featured preliminary match was a World Heavyweight Championship against Kane against Chris Benoit.
Jesus.
We had Eugene and Jonathan Coachman had a match on this show. The WWE Intercontinental Championship was a match between Randy Orton and Shelton Benjamin. Some longevity for those two.
That's kind of fire. It's Triple H.
Triple H was in the match.
And Triple H and when did Austin leave? I think that was after that.
Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah, it was 2003. Who was Triple H? I mean, that was right in the middle of the Reign of Terror. So who would have you been?
Batista?
Nope.
Oh,
Not Orton. I don't think Orton.
Not
Orton
Orton.
was
He
in the match
faced
against
Shelton
Shelton.
Benjamin.
Right. You said that. Okay, big feuds for Triple H. 2004.
Probably the biggest.
Shawn Michaels?
Shawn Michaels in Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense because that's kind of like right when Shawn came back, right?
Yeah,
Well-
this was when they were having like a blood feud after I think Triple H attacked him because he needed like a quick surgery or something. And then when he came back, it was revealed that Triple H was the one that attacked him. Like it was unknown who had attacked Shawn Michaels. And then
No, wait. I think that was 2002 that Shawn came back. SummerSlam 2002.
Oh, okay.
And then they played
Anyway,
that out.
still
well,
that feud.
but again, this was the
soon
play
after.
out still from that. They were
Yeah.
like, oh, they had maybe had a DX get back together for like 3. That might have been when they got back together for like one night or something, and then Triple H pedigreed him.
Do you remember the triple threat match where it started with John Cena and Shawn
Yeah, it was
Michaels
amazing.
immediately super kicked Triple H?
Yeah, those are great.
Unreal.
Very interesting note here. After the match, Michaels, who lost, was giving a standing ovation by the audience.
Yeah, he's the
'Cause you do
showstopper,
you
man.
do mention it's during the Triple H Reign of Terror for sure. With that said, we got Hell in a Cell, and it's time to get back in it. Hell in a Cell, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. I can think of no better person to start this off than the ultimate CM Punk Mark himself. Take it away, head of the table. By the way, the absent panel is a clean sweep on Punk for this.
Yeah. Well, despite being a self-admitted Punk mark, I did pick Drew McIntyre to win the first match at SummerSlam, and he did. I picked Punk to win the rematch in the strap match, and he did. It's time for this to finally culminate. Punk's going to win in a bloodbath, and hopefully a classic that's going to restore the legacy of Hell in a Cell as the most dangerous structure ever known to mankind. Simple as that.
Well said. Yeah, I think this one is pretty easy to see. I think Punk's going to take the trilogy here. Whether this is the end of interactions between Punk and McIntyre, probably not. I think, though, Seth is back. He's going to have a feud with Bronson Reed, and then that's going to be something for Punk to do in the future as well. But yeah, this is going to be a hell of a match. I know I give CM Punk shit all the time, but we always watch him. We always tune in to watch him. Like Partham says, he's a draw. He'll make you money anywhere. And this match is going to be worth the money. But Punk's going to come out on top.
Yep. Shout out One Bill Phil. This is why he came back, so he could open up a WWE PLE in October. This was the dream. This was the dream when Phil returned to get cut off by Barmageddon and to open a WWE PLE on a feud he's had for 9 months in October. That's it. That's exactly
The match.
This was the dream. So
The
shout
type
out
of
One
match
Bill
that
Phil.
he called childish.
Shout out
too.
One Bill Phil. He absolutely is living the dream. He's definitely not politicking backstage to get in the main event and losing like he used to do, and why he got so upset originally with WWE. Remember, that's definitely not happening right now. That's definitely not. Okay, so if you think that's happening, just forget that. Like you're a silly narrative if you think Phil is upset that he's not in the main event on his feud that's been happening for almost a year at this October PLE. With that said, he will win the match because Drew McIntyre is a consummate professional, and Drew McIntyre is okay with putting over CM Punk and realizes that in this exchange, he did benefit a lot as a superstar. So shout out Drew McIntyre. He's hot as he's ever been, and that includes the time in the Thunderdome when he was basically the champion for a year. So shout out Drew McIntyre. Shout out CM Punk for being a professional in this situation. And just to keep in mind, remember, he's definitely not upset about this situation at all deep down in his heart. With that said, deep down in your heart, you got to feel like the final boss could be imminent for tonight main event. It's Cody Rhodes. Yep, get it up there. And Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu. Go ahead, Fatu's in this match. I'm expecting a lot of Tonga, a lot of Tonga Loa. With that said, I ultimately have the Bloodline in this match, but I think it'll end with maybe like the Bloodline kind of battered still, like, and taken out by Cody and Roman, because you're not going to have those two look weak, obviously, but you're going to have them lose, and the Bloodline is going to somehow be like standing leaning over, beaten like tall, and if you smell is gonna go, and like he's literally gonna come out and he's just gonna look at both of them. You thought you could fuck with the final boss? Like, it's time for Netflix, bitches. Like, here comes 10 Bill Dwayne. And that's original.
My God,
that's what he's going to say.
Bill.
That's probably what he's going to say. With that said, Slick, what do you got happening in the main event tonight? I got Bloodline winning and the final boss returns.
Is this Bloodline rules?
No, just tag match.
No,
Okay, fair
Atlanta,
enough.
Georgia rules.
So I'm surprised that everyone is on the new Bloodline for this. Very excited to see Fatu team up with Solo. Tama and Tonga definitely going to play some role ringside, I would assume. But I'm going with the two hottest guys you have in the company right now, one of whom is the WWE Undisputed Champion. I'm going with Cody and Roman, and then I think there's Bloodline shenanigans after where they come in for a beatdown. Maybe Solo, Fatu, and Tama and Tonga are all surrounding them, and then the Rock's music hits. And no one knows really why he's showing up at first. He's walking to the ring. The aura is there. Everyone's confused. And then he gets in the ring and he just like signals for the Bloodline to attack. And we end the show with a Cody and Roman absolute beatdown. And like you said, Maniac, Rock in Roman's ear as he lays helpless on the ground going, "You thought you could fuck with the final boss."
Well, we've already seen Cody Rhodes pinned by Solo Sikoa in a tag match earlier this year to justify a SummerSlam championship match. I don't think that's happening again. There's an outside chance that Jacob Fatu gets a pin over Cody or Roman, but this is Roman's first match back. Cody Rhodes is an established WWE champion. I don't see either of them taking a pinfall or taking a loss in any regard. And it doesn't make sense for me for the final boss to come back after the Bloodline wins. I mean, you could have, Cody and Roman regroup and beat down the rest of the Bloodline afterwards, but it would just take the edge off a little bit. So as far as I'm concerned, this match, the fact that it's a main event, the only thing it's designed to do is give us what we want, which is the final boss.
Give it to me. Give me what I want.
So they better well darn deliver.
Yeah, good stuff, Partham. The final boss is going to be pissed when he's coming out there. He might have the goosebumps, though. He might show him. I don't know. Maybe. But he might be too mad. Oh, the freaking mute monster.
What
Stupid
button
mute.
do you keep pushing, Maniac?
I don't want to make any sounds when I'm posting out your picks, Parthy, when I'm getting, your head of the table locks in. I'm sorry. I'm just treating your picks with such respect because they're the head of the table and that's what they deserve, okay?
Paperwork. That's cap. Totally cap. That means lie.
My second career one, an absolute bombshell right in
That was
Parthy's
not a
face.
bombshell, dude.
Right in his kitchen. Right in his kitchen. This is amazing. Cinema here. Wow. Ryan Talbot Bills checking in on Instagram. Wow. Language Slick. Also, can we get some AEW talk, please? Sorry, sir. This is the show where we talk about WWE Bad Blood. But please,
Talbot,
thanks for tuning in.
Collision's on tonight. I heard you're watching.
Yeah, he's probably tuning into Collision. The only collisions we're worried about are in Atlanta, Georgia tonight, with all due respect to Warner Brothers Discovery. Any final thoughts, boys, before we get up about the final boss?
Excited for the show. And then TKO is going to have one hell of a night, rolling right into UFC 307 afterwards.
Yeah.
That is big. This is the first time they're working kind of collaboratively with their scheduling, so it's very cool. And by the way, I'm all in favor of the occasional 6:00 Saturday pay-per-view for sure, especially
Not bad. I'll take it.
Non-football college football season. I'll be even more enthusiastic about it. With that said, real quick, I have a last little minute topic idea because I'm thinking about what you mentioned, Parthy. Does this match have a ceiling of like a 9 out of 10? If the final boss doesn't show up at some point, like, can they possibly put on a 10 out of 10 without the final boss?
They can put on a 10 out of 10 match, but if people are anticipating, because the reports are that Rock's in Georgia, like maybe less than 30 minutes or however long it is away from Atlanta, because he's visiting in a high school that was the victim of a school shooting. So he's trying to lift everybody's spirits up there. Could be a complete coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidence.
Oh, what better way to lift people's spirits than to show up at Bad Blood and beat down Cody Rhodes
as well
in front of his hometown crowd? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's gonna be
not
amazing. No,
yeah.
seriously, we're looking forward to some cinema. Hope you've enjoyed this cinema on Wrestle with Emotion. By the way, the rest of the panel is split. Rob Ryan, Bloodline, Sweatpants Joe, Cody Roman. Ali, Bloodline, McAdoo, Reigns, Rose. Of course, we should expect McAdoo to be on his tribal chief. But with that said, I acknowledge our tribal chief, Michael J. Partham, as the head of table. I acknowledge Batavia Downs as the region's premier entertainment destination. I acknowledge our amazing audience. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Thank you for tuning in, because this is the show where we have Michael J. Partham and Slick on the predictions of Bad Blood. And this is not the show where it's wrestling with your budget. It's not the show where it's wrestling with your conscience. This is Wrestle with Emotion.